Welcome back to Great Day Washington. All right, how does your DNA impact your overall wellness? Well, our next guest says understanding your DNA can help you reverse disease, slow aging, and achieve optimal wellness.
And he's currently a longevity coach on Marvel movie sets. He works with elite athletes from the NFL, NBA, NHL,
Yeah.
U.S. Olympic medalists, not to mention CEOs of Fortune 100 companies. Need we say more? Welcome to Great Day, Kashif Khan. Thank you for
Pleasure.
being here.
Great to be here.
A longevity coach, for people who have never heard of this before. What is it that you do?
So we know that celebrities will have a personal chef, they'll have a fitness coach, trainer, and they may be outwardly fit, but that doesn't necessarily speak to longitudinal health. How long am I going to live, and how do I ride my bicycle at 100 as opposed to being in a hospital bed?
Right.
So we look deep into the inside, what's happening at the cellular level to make sure you're at your best. And we all have a lot more potential than we think. We know that for sure now.
So how do our DNA, our genomes, how does it affect us mentally, physically? What is it, anxiety, depression? I mean,
All of what we deal with, meaning you're constantly making choices, right? Choices on what you eat, what you breathe, your relationships, and each one of those choices is a path towards health or a path away from it constantly. So what if you always made the right choice and you knew the inner workings of your body? Your DNA actually tells your cells how to do all their little jobs, from making hormones to making chemicals in your brain to clearing out toxins. So if you read that instruction manual that your cells are also reading, you know how you're doing those jobs, and you now know what choice to make. You know, what to eliminate, what to add in terms of food supplementation, and you can be at your optimal best.
I was watching one of your TEDx talks as well about how you can parent differently based on your children's DNA makeup. You do that in your own life?
So, perfect example. My middle son, 3 kids, was a drama queen when it came to homework. On the ground, like screaming, yelling, and we, usual suspects. He's got a mood issue, behavior, motivation. Then I thought, okay, wait a second, I'm going to look into his DNA report, which I had, right? And I didn't look for a drama queen problem. What I looked for was just what's off, right? And how may that relate to this problem? And what I noticed was the genes for metabolizing starches, rice, bread, pasta, he had the worst possible. The genes for insulin response, insulin is triggered when you eat sugars, was also the worst possible. His homework was being done after dinner in a South Asian home where we ate rice almost daily.
right.
And he was basically being put into a coma, and it had nothing to do with his behavior.
Wow.
And so by shifting the time and also shifting his diet, he started to thrive. It's just one little nuance which we would have never figured out.
If you didn't know his DNA.
And I feel like too, knowing that about yourself, because we do make those decisions, oh, I'm going to try this thing to be healthy, and then when it doesn't work, we get frustrated. But there's a reason perhaps that our body's not responding to it.
And the person, you're listening to some podcast, watching some show, and
No, it's
it
right.
probably worked for that person, right? But if you ask them their story, they probably spent 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years struggling and fighting till they found that one thing. And everybody isn't wired like that person. So if you could start on day one with the exact thing for weight loss or your mood or anxiety that your body actually needs, you're going to thrive. You're going to do amazing, as opposed to struggling with all this trial and error.
How do we figure this out? How do we figure out what works?
That's true.
Right, where do we start?
So genetic testing is much more advanced than it used to be.
Right.
It's much easier now also. It used to be this heavy science that you needed a PhD for. Now you can read reports and just get it and do it. Saliva test, you're literally spitting into a tube. Your DNA gets extracted, it gets sequenced, which means essentially reading the genes, and a report comes back to you saying that here's why you have anxiety, and by the way, here's the supplements that you can consider. Here's why you can't lose weight. It's not just about calories in and exercise. Some people, it's due to hormones. Some people, because they can't detoxify, the body wants to store toxins in fat, and so you can't lose the fat. So we start to see what are the jobs your body doesn't do well, and how does that lead to your problem? And if you unravel that root cause, the problem goes away.
I know you also had a part on your website people could go read about how you protect the DNA, because I think sometimes that's scary for people to give to another company. Okay, here's my DNA.
For sure,
send
and
me a report back.
that's been a major concern. Where it's the good and the bad. The good is your DNA never changes,
Right.
so you only never need to do this once, and you can read it forever. But that's the reason why genetic testing companies became data selling companies. They're like, well, we're not making any money,
Right, that's
so let's
all
go
you're
sell your
getting.
data.
So
And so we
much-
make sure not to ever do that.
There's so much more online. We could talk to you for so much longer. To learn more, you can always go to thednacompany.com. And Great Day, we'll be right back.